Hello, white people. Iran is in the news again, and I'm not quite sure what the mainstream media is up to by bringing up Iran in the news. I did find an article on oilprice.com that probably makes more sense than what the media is saying. So I'll go into what the media is saying, and then I'll tell you about this article. All right, so now the media is saying that Biden wants to reinstate the JCPOA, which is the nuclear arms deal. And at the end of the Obama administration, he negotiated this deal with Iran, sent him a plane full of cash. Trump comes in. He says, no, we're not going to honor this arms deal. And he also puts sanctions on Iran. And then according to Al Jazeera is saying that because of Trump's sanctions, that let's see here, that the Iranian dollar is inflated and Iranians can't get medication, and Trump is limiting how much oil they can sell. But Iranians have been selling oil behind the United States' back. All right, so that's all weird. Oh, and then the last thing that they're saying was that Trump was asking around if he should bomb Iran's nuclear facilities. That's just so weird. You know, like we live in some sort. People are believing this nonsense. Trump is asking around to do a military strike. That's weird. I'm looking around here and I find this article on oilprice.com. And the title here is Iran to import North Korean missiles in 25-year military deal with China. And this article is dated October 19th, 2020. And I think that this article will reveal the truth of all the drama in the mainstream media. Following the end on the 18th of October of the 13-year United Nations embargo on Iran buying or selling weapons, the rollout of the military component of the 25-year deal between China and Iran will begin in November, as exclusively revealed by oilprice.com. After a series of meetings in China on the 9th and 10th of October between Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Zarif and his China counterpart Wang Yi, this military component may now also feature the deployment in Iran of North Korean weaponry and technology in exchange for oil, according to sources very close to the Iranian government spoken to by oilprice.com last week. Most notably, this would include Hwasong-12 mobile ballistic missiles with a range of 4,500 kilometers and the development of liquid propellant rocket engines suitable for intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, or satellite launch vehicles, SLVs. This will all be part of a broader triangular relationship coordinated by Beijing and further facilitated by the imminent launch of a new digitized currency system by China. So it makes me wonder, is China going cashless? So who, with all the fracking that we do in the United States and that goes to the West Coast, and doesn't that get shipped to China? So now if China starts getting their oil from Iran, then they won't need us. And I've heard rumor that there is probably going to be a war with China. So if China is not dependent on us for resources, they're going to obviously get it from somewhere else. And continuing on, this sort of coordination between North Korea and Iran, and also between North Korea, Iran, and China, is nothing new, although its resumption at such a scale and in such products is, according to a number of defense industry sources and recorded in various Jane's Intelligence Reviews, JIR, over the first 5-year period from the onset of Iran's ballistic missile program in 1987, Iran bought up 300 Scud-B missiles from North Korea. Pyongyang, though, did not just sell Iran weapons, but it was also instrumental in helping Iran to build out the infrastructure for what has become an extremely high-level ballistic missile program, beginning with the creation in Iran of a Scud-B missile plant that became operational by the end of 1988. According to GIR and other defense sources, this early-stage cooperation in this area between North Korea and Iran also included Iranian personnel traveling to North Korea for training in the operation and manufacture of these missiles, and the stationing of North Korean personnel in Iran during the build-out of missile plants. This model of knowledge and skill transference, of course, has been a key part of the 25-year deal between Iran and China since it was formally agreed back in 2016, including the training of up to 130 young fast-tracked officers from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, every year at various military institutions across mainland China. The simple idea of paying North Korea in oil is also far from new, having been a key method by which Iran helped to fund the development of North Korea's more powerful Nodong series of missiles as early as the 1990s, according to Kenneth Katz-Mann, again with the Berg, Middle Eastern Affairs Specialist at the Congressional Research Service in Washington. According to sources close to Iran's petroleum ministry spoken to by oilprice.com last week, oil shipments are the number one suggestion from North Korea to any country that has oil and wants weapons as a means of payment for any weaponry that Pyongyang has available. The Hwasong-12 first revealed internationally in a military parade on 14 April 2017, celebrating the birthday anniversary of North Korea's founding president, Kim Il-sung. Maybe it's Kim Il-sung. I'm reading it wrong. Looks like two. I-L. Kim Il-sung is being made available to Iran in such a way and, from Tehran's perspective, fits neatly into the delicate military strategy in which it is currently involved. This is founded on the fact that decades of various sanctions have left the Islamic Republic with a severely constrained ability to defend itself against attacks from hostile aircraft or missiles with its own air force, which leaves a massive standing army as the primary deterrent for land invasion and its own missile defense systems as the primary deterrent for aerial attacks. On the other hand, though, the Islamic Republic is aware that any major long-range missile attack on any foreign power allied with the U.S. will end in absolute disaster for it. As former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger once said, "The threat of committing suicide is a poor deterrent to being murdered." Consequently, Iran has consistently stated since 2017, by order of the Supreme Leader, isn't that funny? Ali Khamenei, did I say that right? Khamenei, whatever, that it will limit itself to developing ballistic missiles with a maximum range of 2,000 kilometers. Clearly, the Hwasong-12 has a range of double this, but crucially from Iran's political impact modeling undertaken over recent months, this is unlikely to make the existing relationship with the U.S. worse. The U.S. wanted more specific prohibitions on ballistic missiles in a new JCPOA, which stands for Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, to be drawn up at the beginning of 2018, but that did not happen, so it withdrew. Oh, good. Said one of the Iran sources. Iran believes that the next U.S. president, be it Trump or Biden, will want to do a deal to get some form of JCPOA back on track. So, from that perspective, being able to offer the withdrawal of the Hwasong-12s would be a useful negotiating tool, he said. At the same time, though, there is the threat that the Hwasong-12 IRBM intermediate-range ballistic missile could be upgraded through the addition of an 80-ton thrust engine to either the Hwasong-14 two-stage 10,000-kilometer range or the Hwasong-15. Two rocket engines cluster in first stage, 13,000-kilometer range ICBMs, he added. This upgrade would be regarded by the U.S. as a serious proposition, as there have been signals over the years that Iran might already have been working on such a higher-powered rocket booster configuration, according to a New York Times report from December 2011. The previous month had seen the destruction of a supposed development site in Iran for long-range solid propellant missiles. This was the first public indication that Iran was working on such systems, which would need much more energetic and thus explosive propellants than used in Iran's current Fateh 110 or 110 based solid propellant short-range ballistic missiles and, oh boy, these words, Sagil medium-range ballistic missiles, and press reports in May 2018 indicate that the program has continued at a new location where ICBM-class solid rocket motor production facilities and evidence of ground testing of ICBM-class motors have been detected in open-source imagery, said Robert Einhorn. I think he's a Berg too. Senior fellow in the foreign policy program at Brookings Institution in Washington. He added that various sources since 2013 suggest Iran has been receiving cooperation from North Korea in the development of a large liquid propellant rocket engine suitable for ICBMs or SLVs, and that a U.S. Treasury Department sanctions notice from January 2016 refers to Iranian work on the North Korean 80-ton rocket booster. China, for its part, has been warned by the U.S. in the past for failing to adhere to the missile technology control regime in supplying missile equipment and technology to various countries, which is why it has frequently used North Korea as an agent to do so, allowing itself to plead ignorance of any illegal activity. It is obvious, however, that there are many benefits for China in seeking to expedite the movement of such missile technology from North Korea to Iran as part of the 25-year deal's military component. First, as Iran is paying North Korea in oil, it takes some pressure off China in its obligations to its neighbor. Second, it cements China's clear position to the U.S. as having influence over not just one but two nuclear and near-nuclear states. Third, it further binds Iran and the rest of the Shia crescent of power, especially Iraq, into China's geopolitically game-changing One Belt, One Road project. Fourth, it creates a counterpoint of influence and power in the Middle East akin to the U.S.-Israel axis. And fifth, it will shift more of the U.S.'s attention on the Persian Gulf and away from the Asia-Pacific region that China regards as its backyard of power. All of this is set to be facilitated further by the imminent rollout of China's digital currency electronic payment system, DC/EP, on which the People's Banking of China, PBOC, has been working since at least 2014. The DC/EP will operate on a two-tier system, with the digital currency itself, like cash, being a direct claim on the central bank denominated in, oh boy, what's this word here? Renminbi, RMB. Rory Green, probably a Berg, Asia analyst for TS Lombard in London, told Price.com last week the PBOC will exchange CBDC with chosen banks and financial intermediaries, which in turn will make the funds available to users via existing electronic banking platforms, and clients will be able to convert RMB to CBDC at a rate of 1-to-1 via their digital wallets. The digital RMB could certainly help the integration of Iranian financial companies into the Chinese banking system and avoiding the U.S. dollar/SWIFT monopoly, highlighted Green. China could set up an entity completely unconnected to its traditional banking system to receive all the payments via digital RMB, with the payments sent via digital RMB, he added. This would be similar to the function currently performed by the Bank of Kunlun and some of the North Korea trading houses, but with fewer of the downside risks for other banks/companies in China to associate with the processing entity, he concluded. All right, white people, that's the damage for now. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your thoughts below.